You're listening to the Scarf Bagara War, part of the Talksport fan network, and charity partners with Mentel, for county fans, by county fans.
Hello there, and welcome to another episode of the Courtyard Club Call with me, Jimmy Harmer, and I'm joined as ever by Dan Culverwell. Hi, Dan.
Good evening. Are you all right? All Christmased out?
Christmased out. Can't wait to take the tree down, bar humbug, and all that. So we're recording this on. Don't know what day it is. Just been discussing this with Dan. I haven't got a clue what day it is, but it's the day after the Huddersfield game, so it must be the 27th of December. Yeah, we're right there, aren't we? So we're in the official Twixmas period, aren't we? Whoever came up with that little phrase, I don't know, but yeah, we're in Twixmas. Games are coming thick and fast now, and which is good, really, because it'd be nice to put the Huddersfield game behind us. I was there, so I think Russ was definitely there. Andy was there. Waggy was there. Dan, you couldn't make it, could you?
I couldn't. I was sat at home with my pint glass of Baileys and still munching through the Christmas chocolate and watching it on the telly.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? Okay, I've got a question for you, Dan. Do you keep your chocolates in the fridge or not?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It really depends. But yeah, there's too much chocolate in this household to put in the fridge at the moment.
You sort of need to take all the meat and cheese and butter out just to fit all the chocolate in. That's a good sign of decent chocolate levels. Yeah,
and it's typical Boxing Day as well, that we realised that half the fridge went out of date actually on Boxing Day or today. So as you end up having to cook everything or stick it in the freezer because you bought so much stuff that you've not managed to eat it all.
Yeah, well, I managed to avoid any supermarkets this Christmas period, which is it's always a good thing anyway. Okay, so let's get into this Huddersfield defeat then, shall we? Got 30 seconds of Dave talking us through what he thought the game was and where we went wrong, and then we'll go through the team.
In the final third wasn't good enough. Our decision making in the final third wasn't good enough, and then when we did get those opportunities, we didn't put them away. We've had sort of 2 or 3 really good chances that we've not taken, and we've scored an own goal from our bad play.
Short but sweet. He wasn't happy, was he? Let's go through the team then, Dan. So if you take us through the team, and then we'll say whether we thought he got it right or not.
Well, there's a few changes. Obviously, starting off with Ben at the back. It was more of a back three again. We went back to the back three with Pye, Horsfall and Connolly, which, for me, Pye and Horsfall are always going to start if it's a back four, and Connolly will always come in at the moment if it's a back three. Gone with, obviously, Rydell and Maka as your wing backs. Mob had it a little bit different than what I actually thought it was, with Bates and Collo in midfield, but I actually thought Bailey also joined that midfield as well, with front two of Barry and Olafi as well. But obviously Mob have had Barry, Olafi and Bailey as your front three. Obviously, Woods dropped to the bench. We said a few weeks ago that we expected Carl Wood not to play in every game. I thought he would drop out for the Peterborough game, but he's obviously dropped out for this one. Yeah, so that was our starting 11. So a few changes, no massive dramatic shocks really. Bailey obviously getting a second start for the second consecutive game. Out there, but yeah, no massive sort of real shocks in that one. How about for you, Jimmy? You were obviously at the stadium. Were you all surprised with that lineup when it was announced?
Yeah, I've said before. I mean, I thought it was an attacking. It was definitely an attacking team, especially having both Maka and Rydell in the same team. I've said before that I'm not sure we can afford to have both of them in the team. I don't think we're defensively solid enough when we do that. We obviously had Bate as the lone midfielder. He was the guy picking the ball up from the central defenders, and then Bailey and Collar sort of slightly in front of him, and then obviously Tanto and Barry in front of him. So, or them, sorry. I quite like the look of the team. As you said, Dan, you got to rotate your squad in these games, and I know people were surprised to see some names and maybe surprised to see some people coming off maybe earlier than maybe they should have done. But he's got to rotate his team, and when players are going to be playing 3 games in 9 days against decent sides as well, it's not like we're playing any cannon fodder teams in the next, over the Christmas period. So I think Dave probably got the team right. I listened to their manager's post match, who doesn't speak as well as Dave at all. What was he called? Michael Duff or something. Yeah. And he was quite gracious in that he basically said when they scored after 30 seconds, the whole team talk that you've given, both as an attacking or as the home and the away manager, completely goes out the window, because we're going to change how we play, and they're going to then have to try and respond to that. And it's very rare that a team scores on 30 seconds and then goes 89 or 97 minutes, whatever it was with injury time, without conceding. And I turned to my brother and I said, how many teams actually hold out for like the 90 minutes? And the buggers did, didn't they? So do you want to take us through that first goal, the one that really quietened the away end? It was quite buoyant before that went in, and then it was like, oh shit.
Well, like you say, it was just, I mean, I suppose many fans hadn't even got in their seats. I literally just sat down with the game on and just taking a sip of my pint of Bailey's, and
pint of Bailey's.
A pint of Bailey's. You have to. It's Christmas, and it's literally, it was just a shock to the system. I mean, it was a bizarre own goal. Firstly, watching it on the stream, I didn't think it was handball, but I've seen Rob's video from TFR, and it looks like from behind the goal that their player that crossed it in looked like he controlled it with his arm.
Is this the first cross in? So from their left-hand side?
No, the cross, the ball from the player that actually hit
Bait.
Hit bait. It looked like he controlled it with his arm. And like I said, you could do that same situation probably another 100 times, and it would probably never go into the goal. It seems to he's obviously hit it. I don't know where he's hit it to. If it was a cross-field pass, it doesn't look like he's actually hit it into a certain area. But it's hit the inside step of Bates' foot by the looks of it, on his heel, and just gone completely, as far as you could do away from Hinchliffe as possible. And it was just, like I say, it's just an absolute freak goal. No, I know obviously Dave Challen has pulled out people for mistakes, and as all goals, it's not necessarily the goal itself, but the build up to the goal that you can sort of scrutinise and criticise on. But it was just an absolute freak goal. And we go, even the boy turned around, he says, well, I'd rather concede in the first minute than the last minute. And, we go on from there, really. It was just an absolute freak of an own goal.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why Dave was disappointed, because, I mean, as you just sort of alluded to, Dan, you can pull any goal apart and say, well, he should have done that and he should have done that. We were caught cold at the end of the day, weren't we? They got the ball forward quickly down the left-hand side. The guy puts a decent cross in, to be honest. And then Rydell had been sucked a little bit into the middle of the penalty sort of box rather than sticking with his man. It had vibes of Birmingham about it, how they managed to get a bit too much space, I think, on our left-hand side, and he smacked it in. And yeah, Lewis just couldn't get his feet sorted, could he? It was sort of came on his right foot. We know how left-footed he is, and he just couldn't get his feet sorted to sort of clear it. And Ben had absolutely no chance with it. So 1-0 down, and their fans, in fairness, they made some noise. I don't know if you've been to Huddersfield before, have you, Dan? Or
I haven't. No, it's 1 hour.
Okay, so 26,000 stadium. I think there were 24,000 in there. I would guess around 3,000 County fans, and it's quite clever what they did. So they had one of the stands behind the goal was split in half. So they had their fans on one half and our fans on the other half, like right and left, not like top and bottom. And they had a real strong singing section right next to us. And then in the main stand, so on our left-hand side, there was another singing section right close to the corner. So we were sort of sandwiched between the singing sections. I quite enjoyed it. It's rare that you go to away grounds these days and you actually get any atmosphere. So I quite enjoyed the singing that they did. It helped. It's just unfortunate that I don't think we did ourselves justice. There's been a lot on socials about like the atmosphere that we were or weren't creating. When we sang, it was loud, it was proud, it was good, but it was just a little bit too sporadic, I think. And I don't think we did enough to get the players going. But
do you think that early on goal is what sort of like
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I made a few notes in the first half. I think Huddersfield probably just about edged the first half. Ignore stats and stuff. It was relatively even from like a total shots point of view. And actually, we had like tons more passes than them, but all our passes were at the back. And this is something which is starting to, I think, come to the fore. I don't think Dave likes it. He said in his post match, if you listen to the whole 9 minutes, there's too much sideways passing, too much passing back. There's players in that team who are there to progress the ball forward, and it just felt like Lewis Bate was the only one who was really looking to get that ball forward. So that was disappointing. But stats in the first half, we had 65% possession to their 35. We had an XG of 0.4 to their 0.14. We had 4 shots and they had 3 shots. No shots on target for both teams, despite them obviously scoring that own goal. They had 86 passes, which is pretty poor for a team who have been in the Championship recently. And then we had 190 passes. So that was the first half, really. Did you see us hit the post after 15 minutes?
Their defender obviously has gone to clear the ball and completely shanked it, and that could have very easily gone into the top corner. And like you say,
when your luck is out, isn't it, Dan? And I think when that happened, I mean, it was at the far end of the pitch, so I couldn't quite see it. I couldn't work out whether it hit the post or it hit somebody. But watching the highlights back, I mean, 3 inches the other way, and it's in. It's game on, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think at that point, if that goes in, you'd have had literally a 1-1 scoreline with both teams not having a shot on target.
Yeah, good point. That's not going to happen often, is it? But we toiled in that first half. We didn't really create any decent chances, I wouldn't say. I think they defended very well. They had some real nous in their team, and they were playing within themselves, I think. I don't think we really challenged them enough. Have you got anything you want to say on that first half, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, it's just huffed and puffed, really. I don't know if we were afraid of him or too respectful for them, but we didn't play badly, and we know we can play better. And same again, that game was another one. Just felt it was an opportunity to come away with something to a team that is really in form, really up there with us. And I felt the same again. I think Dave as well, obviously listening to him his post match, just felt that was an opportunity to actually to come away with some points, rather 1 point or 3, because they weren't, they didn't do a job on us like Wickham or Birmingham in the first half. They were there really for the taking, and at times we looked like the home team, with the amount of possession and the ball. Like you said before, Lewis Bay seems to be the only player that can turn on the ball. We've talked about this previous weeks, where too many players like to play the ball they're facing or receive the ball. They play straight back in a direction. Lewis Bate will turn on the ball, half turn, As soon as he's getting the ball, even if he's got the ball in a tight area, he tries to turn his way out of it and play his way out of it, and which obviously gets you up the pitch. And apart from that, Bailey I thought was quite interesting. The formation he was picking up. He sort of seemed to be sort of like that sort of number 10 role, but in a floating role. He was picking up little pockets, and it was being quite successful to start off with. There was a bit where, same again, Louis Barry switched over, and it sort of happened over a few times, especially when in the second half when Jack Diamond comes on. But in that first half, he was sort of moving about with Bailey and swapping positions. And like I say, without that killer instinct, that cutting edge is, like I say, just what we're missing at the moment, of someone being absolutely ruthless and putting the ball in the back of the net.
I mean, you talked about Bailey, and I can understand why he was playing in that position. Both him and Collar were sort of trying to occupy that space between their defence and midfield. But just looking at the stats, he only had 25 passes. And how many minutes did he play? He played 45. Was he subbed at half time, actually, Bailey? I can't.
Yeah, you got picked up a cheap yellow card. Well, I didn't even think it was a yellow card, but the referee, on his wisdom, decided that Bailey was the worst foul so far in that game, and to give him a yellow card where I don't even think he touched him, to be honest.
We thought it maybe was for dissent. We couldn't see there was enough in the foul itself. The position on the pitch, it was right on the halfway line. I wondered whether he'd said something. I didn't agree with it.
No, I don't think. I just same again. I think it was the referee trying to put some his authority on the game and tried to sort of right, next foul, regardless who gives it, he's going to get a yellow card. For him to trying to be a bit authoritative with his being the referee. But no, yeah, I just thought, like I say, second half, same again, he sort of got that yellow card, and as a lot of players that seem to do at the moment, if they pick a yellow card up, they seem to sort of like disappear out the game. They become anonymous, maybe because of the fear of getting a second yellow. But yeah, that he was obviously the change at half time.
And if we talk about that change at half time, so Dave went pretty brave. So we brought on Noyle and Diamond, and he took off Connolly and Bailey, and we switched to a back four. It was almost like a 4-4-2, I would say. So Collar dropped back into the midfield sort of properly with Bate then, rather than occupying that slightly like more attacking position. And then he seemed to rotate Barry and Diamond on the two wings. So one minute Barry's on one side, the next he's on the other, and he played Alafi up front. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
Alafi up front. And we definitely had a lot more control in that second half. And we started off really, really well. We probably had the best two chances of the game for both teams. So the first one was so it was on 47 minutes when Collar raced through one-on-one. A lovely little move, actually, and we sort of split their defence. And Collar was genuinely one-on-one with the keeper. I think he took it a little bit wide, but Barry was calling for it. Like, he could have easily found him for a tap-in, but he decided to have a shot. And it was one of those nothing, I'll just whack it, and the keeper came out. The keeper did well, but if you hit that low into the corner, or even across him, that was popping out to Barry, and that was a big, big chance.
Yeah.
And then 1 minute later, we had another chance, and this time it was Barry sort of doing one of his trademark runs, cutting on his right foot, and again he could have probably flashed it across the goal with a shot, like a shot across goal, but he decided to pass it to Collar, who just overrun it, and he sort of ended up falling over, and then the chance was gone. And I just got a feeling that when those two chances went, you've got to take your chances in the big games against the teams around you. Proper 6-pointer, this, guys. Like, we could have been level on points with Huddersfield, and instead we're 6 points behind them. So you've got to take those chances in these sort of games, and if you don't, you're not going to get many more. Are you, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, that first chance, we're Will Collar going through one-on-one. The through ball by Tanto was absolutely perfect. It was, quick thinking. He's just basically on not even controlled it first time, like a volley pass into the space for Collar to run onto. For me, I just wanted to see Will Collar basically not even take a touch, just smash it first time. Don't let the goalkeeper set. Like you say, the first touch is not the greatest, but he's still, he's still one-on-one. He's still, I would say, on a percentage scale, the odds are in Collar's favour to put it in the back of the net. Disappointing with it. And like you say, if you don't, you've got to put it in the back of the net, because if not, then like you say, the Barry, who's free unmarked to his side, is obviously the screaming for the ball, will be the, what you get levelled at. If you put it in the back of the net, nobody cares. So yeah, a bit shell shocked, but with them two chances, I'm thinking to myself, we're still in this game. We're going to get something out of this game at that point. And I expected the chances to sort of come thick and fast after that, but that sort of first 5 minutes of the second half seemed to have been our best 5 minutes of the second half.
Yeah, it was, and then the momentum sort of started switching a little bit to them after that. Although they didn't create anything, they didn't have any shots on target, I don't think, in the whole game. Or maybe they had one. I don't know what the stats say, but one shot on target they had, and that was a very comfortable save for Ben. Excuse me. So I think the disappointing thing was that we were in the game. It was only 1-0. As you say, it wasn't a Wickham, it wasn't a Leyton Orient, it wasn't one of those games where we were out of it, sort of 2, 3, 4 goals down. And once again, I think the subs, the output from our attacking subs just isn't quite there. Diamond, again, he made some lovely little runs. Dave, again, alluded to it in his post-match. It's all well and good getting the crowd off your seat, but if you don't do anything with that, they sit back down again because you're not scoring and you're not assisting, and it's a worry for me. And I think Stotty's going to have to decide whether he wants to stick or twist. Is he happy with us finishing? And I think with this squad without Barry, I don't think it's a playoff. I don't think it's good enough for the playoffs. From when you see the teams that are around us now, if we don't replace Louis Barry, if we don't get another striker in as well as him, so probably 2 attacking players, I don't think we've got the goals in us to maintain a playoff place. From what I've seen so far of all the teams around us, they'll only get better and stronger as well. So it's whether you stick with the budget. So we are budget, I think, around 10 to 12 in the league. I think that's relatively well known, isn't it? That is where we're at. So if we finish 10th, 11th, 12th, that's probably par for the season. And it's whether Stotty wants to roll the dice, really, and decide whether he wants to get this playoff space or not.
There's an opportunity there, at this time of the season, we're 5th. We're still 5th, regardless of that Huddersfield score. It's about opportunities, Do you see this as an opportunity to take, to go forward, to get into the Championship? Or do you have the faith in the players you brought in that over the next 12 months that they will come good, regardless if we get promotion or in the playoffs or we miss out? It's a difficult one. I still think there is players that are not showing their best front foot at the moment. They're not taking the opportunity that they've been given to sort of really push on.
Who are you thinking about here, Dan?
These lots of them, to be honest. Unfortunately, without digging out players, I think Will Collar's a little bit too comfortable at the moment. I think he needs, pushing for his place a little bit. Same with, I know, Rydell and Macca have just come back, so you can't really, they need 10, 15 games under their belts before you can sort of really start look at the, critique their performances. Odin Bailey, like I say, struggling to get that starting. He's had a couple of starts. I don't think he'll get a couple of more, but obviously if he doesn't take that opportunity, I think he'll become very much a bit part player for the rest of the season. Fiorini's another one that's just disappeared, and probably might be better off sending him out on loan come January. Jack Diamond, obviously, depending on if they bring in a replacement for Louis Barry or not, but obviously you expect him to maybe take that Louis Barry left-hand side, cutting in on your right foot role. But same again, if he's given a run of games and he's not taking that opportunity, then you can see Dave and Simon Wilson bringing other players in that January window just to push the team on, regardless if that's a starting 11 place or if it's just to push the players on that are in the squad.
I think the tricky thing that we've got is that we don't have that many injuries. You've got Nick Powell, who's injured. You've got Teo Adaramola, who's injured. And you've got the guy from Everton. What's he called?
Tyler
Onyango. So there are 3 main injuries. And the problem that you've got is that you've only got a match day squad of, 18?
Yeah.
So already we've got players, Sam Hughes, Mingy, Jay Mingy, Fiorini. So those 3 aren't in the match day squad. If you bring in too many players now, you're going to have more not in the match day squad. And this is the disappointing thing that Dave's got in that a lot of the squad. See, this is the time of year that your squad needs to step up. It's when you're playing games like the games are coming thick and fast, aren't they? And you really need to be able to take 3 or 4 players out of the first team, put someone else in the next game, same again, rotate them round. And the issue that we're having is that these players, and we keep on saying it, these players aren't affecting the game enough to warrant being in the first team starting 11 when we go back to game every 7 days or whatever it's going to be. Yeah. And if we start losing ground at this point, this is the point where you can see which teams are going to be maintaining that playoff place. And if, I hate to be negative, but the next 4 games are all losable, in my opinion. Rotherham is losable. Okay, they're not playing particularly well under Steve Evans. There's a lot of, I don't think the fans particularly like him. He's one of those managers that if you're winning, you don't mind the football. If you're losing, it's crap. So, but they could easily do us at their place. You've then got Birmingham at ours, haven't you? You've then got Mansfield. They had a bit of a dodgy run, but I think they've won the last 2 or 3. I think it is.
It's Mansfield as well, isn't it? Let's be absolutely honest. It's Mansfield.
Team. Exactly. So before you know it, maybe I'm just being a negative Nelly, and we need Andy or Waggy on here to come on with some positivity. But that's just me, I guess.
It's like I say, it's a bit weird because December so far we've played 5 games, we've won 2, lost 3, and I don't think we've ever lost 3 league games under Dave Challoner in a month before.
Okay.
So it's like I say, it's a little bit of a sticky period. 2024, if we look at 2024 as a whole, so far we've played 50 competitive games in 2024, dating back to obviously the first game would have been Mansfield on New Year's Day in 2024. We've played 50 games, we've won 26, drawn 11, lost 13. We've scored 93 goals and conceded 62. And the 1-0 loss to Huddersfield on Boxing Day is the first time in 2024 we've lost a game 1-0.
Wow. Okay.
So, a competitive game, should we say, because we all know we've lost a friendly 1-0 in Pinatar.
Yeah.
That was the first time we've lost a competitive game, 1-0 out of the whole calendar year. Obviously, we'll play 51 games in total once we played Rotherham in that calendar year. So, 51 competitive games, including the trophy and the cup games and the league games, which is quite amazing, really. Like you say, it's 1 a week as such. And considering that calendar year, we don't kick a ball for 3 months in competitive football. So, it's like I say, it's a little bit. People get a little bit worried, and like I say, we're not used to losing, like I say, 3 games in a month. So far, obviously, we went through August, hadn't lost a game. every month since August, September, October, November, we lost one league game in each of them months, and obviously we come to December, and we've obviously lost 3 games. We've got obviously the 1 game left in December, which is, like I say, Rotherham away. So hopefully we can get that win and played 6 and won 3, lost 3 without drawing any games.
I mean, let's face it, we're not getting relegated. Woohoo! That's great. Okay. And there's plenty of us who are more than happy to finish mid-table in League One. I mean, we're going to hit a ceiling at some point. Okay. And I'm more than happy to keep on this very sort of slow progression of the 12th season on the trot or whatever it will be that we'll have finished higher than the previous season. That's absolutely fine by me. It's just what the owner's aspirations are, how much money he wants to continue putting in, how much money he wants to put in for promotion pushes over how many years. We know that he is impatient, as all football club owners are. They want to be as high as they possibly can be. They don't want to be sitting around on their laurels. But I'm more than happy for us to finish sort of top 10 somewhere. I just think that Stotty isn't, and if we want to keep our owner happy, he'll have to stick his hand in his pockets. I read something about the PSR regulations. They're changing, aren't they? I think from next season.
Yeah.
So at the moment, he can write off, is it 100% of whatever it is from his own money, whereas it's moving to 60% next season, I think it is. So it's going to be a lot harder for him to stick money into the club. So that's a consideration. Whether we will play the game that everybody will be playing, and that is in January, we'll go hard. Maybe we'll get some players that will be a little bit more expensive than maybe we would have done if this rule change wasn't coming in. It's going to be an exciting January transfer window. Who do you think we need, Dan? What are you going for, positions wise?
Personally, I think if we want the team to compete in a championship, I think we're 7 players short, to be honest. Quality players to compete in the championship. We need another goal scoring option. Obviously, Michael Mellon's not worked out. I expect him to go back to Burnley. We know we've brought the young lad from Iceland in, but I just don't consider that as a signing as such. My expectation on him is that if he comes off and plays 10, 15 minutes and gets a goal, over the moon, but I don't pin any hopes on him until he's actually had a proper pre-season with us, to be honest. So I would like another goal scoring a proven goal scorer. I mean, as daft it sound, somebody, we saw Andy Cook score a cracking goal for Bradford. And I know he's getting long in the tooth and stuff like that, but we missed that. Somebody like that to bring on for 10 minutes in the game when things aren't going well. We all say we would.
You can't monetize a player like Andy Cook, though, can you? And
No.
this is the dichotomy that we're facing. Paul Mullins scored a worldie apparently for Wrexham. I've not seen it, but they won again. They won 2-1, and these players are not cheap, and these players are not worth anything in the future to us as a club. So at some point, you've got to, or the owner and Simon Wilson and Dave will have to say, okay, well, do we take a punt on a Paddy Madden who's 4 years younger than Paddy Madden, for example? That sort of player. I don't know. I think there's place in the squad for it, definitely. And maybe the way that the summer transfer window panned out in the end, I don't think we were looking to buy Ollie Norwood or to give Ollie Norwood a contract. It just happened. It wasn't part of the plan. He came and trained with us. We were like, oh, he's available. He accepted a contract, but it's a 3-year contract on another player who's in a similar mould to Powell, just without the injury problem. So we've got 2 players there that you probably wouldn't play in the same team, I would say. Probably not quite mobile enough, but both of them can do an amazing job at what they do, but maybe not the right position on the pitch for us. I think we need 2 wing backs. I think we need a new goalkeeper if we want to be a championship team. I think we need another goalkeeper. I think we need another central midfielder, bit more dynamic, someone that can score goals for us. Because as good as our central midfield has been, Lewis Bate doesn't score goals. I love him to bits. He doesn't score goals. Prime example, that run that he made from the halfway line, beautiful run, dropped his shoulder, ran past a load of their players, tame shot at the end of it. I just wanted to rifle that into the top corner and be talking about it for the next 15 years. He didn't do it. We've seen players at the club who can. Paul Cook, he was amazing at that, wasn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant
And
striker.
that's where I think there is a big jump up from, we've gone from League Two, obviously, to League One, or National League to League One, and some of them players are still with us that we've brought along. But I think, and we're holding our own. We're competitive League One team. We've said that the only team that's given us a football lesson all season is Wickham. Everybody else, we've held our own, or could have got something out of the games in hindsight. But to go up to the Championship level, we all say, like I said, the ambition is to get back into the Championship level. Well, to be honest, some of these players are now showing maybe they're not going to get us to that Championship level, and that's going to be the hard part in all this process, is actually saying to some of these lads that, thanks, but the time has come that, we need to get better players in. Because I think Dave Challen has been very fair with a lot of these players this season, and kept them on the books and offered them contracts and stuff like that. But if they're not showing and they're not proving themselves, then unfortunately they're just going to get left behind.
And the thing to bear in mind is that we're talking about getting Championship players in because we are competing against Championship teams effectively at the top of League One. This is not us saying, oh yeah, we'll need these players to compete in the Championship. We do. But to get there, we need to have Championship players, or more than we have, I think. And that's going to cost money.
Yeah.
And then obviously Barry replacement. I've said before, replacing his 14, 15 goals, where would we be without those moments in games that he's giving us? We need someone who can do that, or we change the way that we play and we create more team chances. Maybe that will be what we do going forward. Who knows? And then, as you say, a Michael Mellon replacement, someone that can bag a few more goals. Tanto looked, he picked up a knock again yesterday. He looked pretty lively first half. Second half, he picked up a knock and he was hobbling around for a bit. And I was thinking, wow, why? I mean, he played on for another 15, 20 minutes, to be fair, before he was substituted. And I don't know why, because he was completely useless. Once he's been kicked and he can't run anymore, you're thinking, well, what is he really in the team for?
But same again, I was impressed with his output until that point. He was doing the press. He was a nuisance. He was a threat. But we've gone through the whole game with only 7 shots and only 3 of them on target. And and as we know, our conversion rate is from shots on target to goals is for the seasons at 30%. So it's and then we only get 40% of our total shots on target anyway, and then only to score 30% of them shots on target it's damning facts. And unfortunately, that's the problem in our season so far. We create plenty of chances normally in games, but we just do not get enough shots on target. And then the shots on target that we do get, like you say, we're at 30%. So realistically, we only score 1 goal in every 3 shots on target that we're making the goalkeeper, work. So I think that's where it is, the clinical part of it. I think, like I say, we can create chances, but we just got to find somebody to put them in the back of the net.
If we look at the FOTMOB ratings, their keeper got a 7.9, so he was the FOTMOB man of the match, and everyone in their defence got 7.1 or higher. Our highest player was Pi, according to FOTMOB, at 7.1. Lewis Bate got a 5.7. That must be because of that own goal, because I thought he was the best player on the pitch for me. He just was surrounded by players that weren't helping him out enough, in my opinion. What did you think from the TV? Who would you give man of the match to?
Oh, yeah, Lewis Bates for me. Like I said, forget the own goal. It wasn't. It's just a fluke of an own goal, to be honest. But yeah, Lewis Bates pulling the strings because the only player, like I say, that wants to turn on the ball. He received the ball facing his own goal, and his first thought is to turn the other way, and that's what we lack. We lack them players that want to turn the other way. We have too many that receive the ball and want to play it back in the direction they received it. So yeah, that for me, Lewis Bates definitely. And we just said there, Ethan Pye. We've talked about players areas that we're looking to sign, but in January. But I'll be gobsmacked if somebody doesn't make an inquiry over Ethan Pye and Lewis Bates in the January transfer window. Not saying we're going to sell them, but if you're a Championship club, you'd be foolish not to ask the availability of said two players, and rightly so, because like you say, they've probably been the two best players in the team so far this season.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Is it second game on the trot that Dave has called out Ben's distribution? I think directly.
He called it out all of last season as well, to be honest. At times, it's this is where people get a little bit forgetfulness and about seasons past. As great as Ben is as a shop stopper, and he's a top goalkeeper, and should be at County for the rest of his playing, and even after his playing career, he should be at County. There should be a job for him always. He has his weaknesses to his game. Every player in that team has strengths and weaknesses, and we changed the style of football, the way that you want to play, and unfortunately, that plays into Ben's weaknesses.
Yeah, well, we'll see if he sticks with him for the Rotherham game. So, done man of the match. Ref watch. What are you thinking about the ref?
An absolute Yeah. I know. Obviously, Dave's had his moan in his post match about the time added on. I just couldn't stand his decisions at times. He was starting off with the Bailey, obviously one. I thought that obviously there was a handball involved for the own goal in the build up, but I can understand
It could have given them a penalty though, Dan. In fairness, I mean, we all held our breath in the first half when was it Macca sort of ran into their player.
We've seen him given. It's one of them. We've seen him given. Macca's not made a challenge as such. He's not put his foot in really, but he's been physical. It is a physical game. It's a contact sport, football. Even though people forget that. A little bit shoulder to shoulder. Maybe got his hands and pushed him a little bit. I've seen him give him. I think we've given away actually softer penalties this season, in all fairness. So if it was given, then I wouldn't have been surprised. But in the other side was the Oldham Bailey foul worse or softer than the Macca foul was, and that's same again what Dave said, the word consistency. There was just no consistency with his decision making. One thing in the penalty area is just shoved off, forget about it, no foul, and then something that's even weaker is deemed then as a yellow card and a foul when it was at the halfway line, when it was no. I can understand if it was somebody breaking through and a chance to create something, but it was just the inconsistency of him, to be honest, that I found.
Strange. I think the strange thing with the referee from my point of view, and I mentioned this to my brother, I was like, for the first 20, 25 minutes, he seemed to be just letting the game flow and little niggly challenges. He was just there, play on, play on, play on. I was thinking, okay, I like this. I like it when refs do that because it sort of says, okay, well, you can fall over, but I ain't going to give you a soft free kick. And then he just switched with that Bailey yellow card. It was like he was letting all these things go. And then suddenly Bailey does a foul, which hadn't even been given maybe 10 minutes earlier. And he books him. And then he'd set his stall out then. And all these niggly little, once again, Huddersfield are the sort of team that better at the dark arts than us. They were falling over and just doing those horrible little time wasting things. You probably wouldn't have noticed this from the TV, but in the second half, the multi-ball system disappeared from Ben's end. So like if he got a goal kick, he'd have to go and find like the main ball. I don't know if it was because one of the balls got popped and no one thought to sort of like return it or something. But we lost so much time by us having to play this one ball when it was anywhere near our sort of goal line. That was annoying. But I've got a positive to end on, unless you've got something else you want to talk about. Dan?
Always for the positive.
Okay, so my big positive was that I think we've changed our socks for the away kit. So do you remember the socks were like this weird neon colored pink that didn't sort of tie in with the pink of the shirts and the shorts? It was like a completely different shade of pink. From where I was, and bearing in mind it was foggy, so I could be talking complete bollocks, but it looked like the socks finally matched the shirts.
So you're saying Richard Landon's washed them with the wrong?
I think he's either washed them or he's put a little bit of dye on in with them or something. I don't know. Or maybe he's got some white socks and dyed them with a red Santa sock or something, and it's just come out the right shade of pink or something. I don't know. But no, we look far better now. So if anyone can say in the comments whether they think I'm right or whether I need more new glasses after replacing my broken ones, you let me know.
I must admit, being colourblind, that watching it on the TV, that wasn't the most easiest kits to distinguish between them.
Yeah,
I must admit, it was a bit of a blend at times. If you're looking at certain angles and stuff, you don't really see.
well, we've got black down. We got black down the sides.
Yeah,
ours,
and they had black socks on as well, I believe.
Right.
So that was these distinguishing bits. But yeah, because same again, the clubs didn't used to have to wear. They used to have to wear different shorts, but obviously that rules. There's been plenty of games where both teams have had the same coloured shorts on before and stuff like that. So yeah, these being colourblind at times, especially when you're far away and the kits can merge into one, looking like both the same kit. And that was on the TV at certain times. That was definitely one of them games where sort of both shirts looked very similar to me anyway. I know other people are going, what do you mean? You must be blind, but yeah. And when you say I'm colourblind, doesn't mean I see everything in black and white either. It's just certain shades, when they're very close together, they sort of merge into one colour.
Cool. Okay. Well, yeah, I think that is Huddersfield away done. Roll on to Rotherham. I'm sure he's going to rotate the team for that game. Are you going, Dan?
I will be going. It is, well, so me and Toby are going, and we're taking the wife for a seasonal trip to watch County that we always do, drag her along to watch a game. And I've been dragging her along since we've been together. Well, I think 20 years I've been dragging her along to games. We've been together 25 years. And I think for 20 years, she comes along at least once a season to a County game. And
what's her win ratio, Dan? Is she a lucky omen, or is she a bad penny? From a county point of view, of course.
I can't remember. I think we've won more than we've lost, to be honest. So yeah, not too bad. She came to Wembley when we won at Wembley. I didn't take her last time we went to Wembley, so that was obviously the reason why we lost. But the Jim Gannon Wembley, she came along to that one. So yeah, hopefully she'll be a lucky omen. If not, she can wait again another year before she comes again.
Okay, mint. Well,
are you going?
I won't be going. No, I'll be watching on TV. It's just a busy time of year between Christmas and New Year for the Harmer household. So yeah, I won't be going. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So thank you to all our Patreon members. We've had a few more people sign up, so thank you. We released the Will Collar pod a couple of days ago. Was it Christmas Eve? I think we released it. So that is now free for everybody to watch or listen to, and that gives you a real insight into the quality of the stuff that we can provide you if you are a Patreon member. So please sign up. And we've got loads of other stuff in the pipeline, haven't we, Dan? We've got I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say which ones we're doing, to be fair. What do you think, Dan? Will I get told off by Russ if I tell people who we got coming up?
Well, the problem is, like most things, is obviously we have things planned, and unfortunately life gets involved and they get shifted about and moved about. So, there's a few times where we've had things planned, and literally the day that we were going to record it, and unfortunately, life happens and other circumstances, and we've had to put it on the shelf, and something that we'll revisit later on in the season. But obviously the part 2 of Liam Hogan, I know Liam Hogan is looking really excited about getting in front of the cameras again and having a chat with Russ. So yeah, that one will definitely happen, I believe.
We've got a Crystal Palace fan, haven't we, for the Crystal Palace game? A celebrity Crystal Palace fan that Russ is super, super, super excited about. I've never seen the man so excited about anything.
Russ has been stalking this guy high and low on X and Facebook, and he said he's agreed to come on. I don't know if that's just to stop Russ from stalking him or shut him up, but yeah, he's agreed to come on the show to give his Crystal Palace view for that game.
Cool, and loads of other stuff. So yeah, we do have irons in the fire, but yeah, it's probably better for me not to name names yet until Big Boss Man does it. So there we go. So we'll be back again after the Rotherham game, whether it's a Courtyard Club call or whether Russ and Waggy pull their fingers out and do something rather than me and Dan doing all the work over this festive period. And we'll speak to you all soon. Cheers, Dan.
See you later.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Scarf Bagara War. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Remember, you can catch us every week on your favourite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. And a huge thank you to all of our Patreon members. Your contributions help keep the show running to bring the content you love. If you'd like to support the podcast and get access to exclusive special guest episodes, ad-free podcasts and a monthly giveaway, head over to patreon.com/the Scarf Bagara War. And don't forget to follow us on social media for updates, behind the scenes content and more. You can find us on X, Facebook and Instagram, all at County Podcast. Lastly, if you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review and share it with your fellow County fans. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Scarf Bagara War. Come on, County!